Free, by the way, later on to take pictures of any.
Alpesh, what's going on?
Well, so I've just come back from Downing Street where I dropped off my wife. She was going to meet the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary. So I'm actually quite buzzed. And then I came back and she was just on the phone to me before we started this. So whilst we're going to talk about investments and ask me anything, so I've got a whole bunch of questions from viewers and listeners about the markets. Yeah, that's what's going on. And that's bang up to date now as you're listening to this.
Wow, extraordinary. Well done, Ekta. And what are people asking for right now?
Well, in the markets, and I'll come back to some of the things that are going on, in macroeconomics and politics and all the rest of it, because of course that impacts the markets without revealing any state secrets. Not that my wife ever tells me any state secrets, and she's got a higher security clearance than I have with government. But going to the markets as a whole, the question I'm being asked the most, and we're recording this at the start of April, so new tax year, people have got new pension allowances, SIP allowances, ISA allowances. The emails that I'm getting the most, the TikToks I'm getting the most, the messages I'm getting on WhatsApp the most are, Alpesh, is it time to get back in the market? So as you'll know, the first quarter of this year, the first 3 months, January, February, March, were rubbish for the markets. It was the worst 2 years in, quite a few years. And so people are thinking, oh, when can we get back into it? By the dip, and it's come back a bit since then. Now is it the time to get in? And if I make that answer a little bit shorter than I've already done, you might say it's too late, Alpesh. Then my fear is I think we're going to drop off a bit more. So my advice to most people has been, look, work out, are you low risk on a scale of 0 to 10? If you're at the low risk end, then you might not want to get in quite yet, or you might want to pound cost average or dollar cost average, put a third of your money in this month into Microsoft or whatever, a third next month, a third the month after. And if you're higher risk, then just put it all in now on the basis that, look, you're investing for the longer term, 12 months at least, and then you review your portfolio. But you still need to make good quality, resilient stocks. And we'll talk a bit more about that as we go on in this show. The thing is, people think it's all about, tell me, where's the money going? Which stock's going to dive up? Is it time to get in? That's not what it's about. We're not gambling. That'll be going to Ladbrokes. What we're here to do is work out those resilient stocks. And yeah, I'm going to start picking up some companies this month now, because I've got my ISA allowance, this year's one, and my wife's ISA allowance, and my son's and SIP allowances and all the rest of it. So, and I'll post those on Telegram, some of the things that I'm looking to buy into. Sorry, I went on way too long.
Fantastic. So understanding your own risk profile is essential then. And I know from talking to your students, that's something that they are absolutely astounded by, understanding their own risk profile. So what are the 3 things you've started doing lately?
Well, in terms of the market, I started spending a lot more time looking at the individual stocks that I want to get into. Whereas, in January, I was looking more at the macro market, the Dow, the S&P, the FTSE, and thinking, okay, this is probably going to fall a bit more. And same with February, same with March. So there's no point looking at individual stocks other than purely for fun. And I might look at the odd ones previously in March and Feb, which, had gone up a lot, and thought to myself, what the hell, what are they doing swimming against the tide? Is there anything special about some of these companies? But now I've really drilled down. So I guess that's the first thing. I'm spending a lot more time drilling down, narrowing down that research and getting those stocks ready. I guess the second thing, slightly related to the first, is the level of due diligence has gone up. In particular, we know tactically the market is more interested in companies which have got good valuations than it was, say, a year ago or 2 years ago, where it was more into growth and momentum. So whilst we do look at growth, momentum, and valuation, I'm spending a lot more time looking at valuation metrics, discount cash flows, price earnings growth, than I was, say, a year or 2 years ago, where basically everything was going up in any event. So I guess that greater in-depth due diligence. And the third thing, really, I guess, has been more on the business side of stuff, quarter end. So you've got compliance related stuff to fill in and forms and all the rest of it. And we're looking at ramping up more of the marketing for some of the technology that we've launched out of the fund. And I really want to 10x it, just really get a massive ramp up because we think we've got a fantastic product. And you'll know, Vanessa, I've been bothering you at all hours on Slack, sort of messaging about, okay, what should we do on some of the advertising, getting the message out on that. So I guess those are the 3 things which are keeping me busiest at the moment.
Excellent. It's reassuring that you're doing the research that your students then get the direct benefit of. And what are the 3 things that you've stopped doing lately?
Well, I should say eating. I've been focusing a lot more on my health. So eating late at night, no, sorry. I wish I could say I was. I've also bought some. Now, this is relevant to the markets. You see, when you're looking at analysis, you need a clear head. You need to have energy. You've got to have, you'll know from the emails you get from me and the rest of the team get, it's sometimes 1 a.m., 2 a.m. on a Saturday or Sunday. And I love the stuff. When you love something, you're in danger of burnout. So I guess what the things I've stopped doing relate to making sure I don't burn out so much. So I've stopped sort of being dehydrated all the time. Okay, you're not going to make money if your health is rubbish. And I know that sounds sort of a bit weird and crass. And sort of almost guru-ish, but it's really that much more important. I bought some of these 3D personalized vitamins because I was just feeling exhausted by about 8-9 o'clock every night. And coffee, just, there's only so much you can take of that stuff. So yeah, I stopped sort of being so bad on the health stuff and focusing a lot more on it. So it sort of answers your question, I think. But that's really been important to me recently. And I've been back on the Peloton. So I've not been cycling, and I've been walking from home to the office as well. And again, this is an important message for people who are, when you're, like I said, with the markets, they can be stressful. They can, as can anything else in life. And, people at the moment are going through cost of living crisis, salaries which are fixed and costs which are going through the roof. And, COVID, not traveling as much and all the rest of it. And so there's fewer things to look forward to. The weather's been a bit rubbish. And all of these stresses mean that there's more strain on your health. And I think I've been even more focused on that than normal, with, linking financial well-being with mental well-being. And we know those two are connected because there's research which shows how much people's mental health is harmed by not having saved enough and not having enough money and not having, good pension, all the rest of it. So I'm being more holistic, basically.
Self-preservation number 1 then, sage advice there. And are you surprised by anything at the moment?
I'm surprised how well the market's holding up. And I think a lot of people are. When you think about inflation, Ukraine, nuclear threats from the Russians, you think about supply chain problems, you think about possible recession talk, rising interest rates, which would dampen demand. Salaries not necessarily rising. So where the hell's all this coming from? And you see profitability nevertheless, earnings of companies, the rich companies getting richer, especially in technology, and the market's holding up despite all of this negativity, then that has surprised me. So that's number 1. But it's not a negative in the sense that I'm not trying to gamble on which way the market's going to go. What I'm trying to make sure is that the kind of stocks I've got is if the market were to have fallen, they'd be resilient to those falls, and should it rise as it has done more recently, I'd be like, oh, okay, so my stocks will take advantage of that, and that's the critical way to look at it. The other thing which has surprised me is actually how popular NFTs have been. And this morning there was a story in the Financial Times about how Rishi Sunak, who lives at number 10, so going back to number 10, actually my wife, I think she was going to meet his wife tonight. I forgot to ask her if she did. I know I'm name dropping like crazy. John Lennon said to me, to Alpesh, just stop name dropping. With all of that, the NFT stuff, Rishi Sunak said that the UK the Royal Mint is going to have an NFT. So I need to start looking at buying one. I've got some ideas on. This is just for fun. And yesterday, and again, going back into the sort of, and this is purely for fun, I bought, because it's so easy on your phones now with all sorts of platforms, I bought 3 more cryptocurrencies. Didn't know anything about them, saw some momentum in them, did it for fun, put a tiny throwaway bit of money into it. And you might say, well, Alpesh, that's you playing the lottery, or you going to Ladbrokes or a casino in Vegas. You're right. That's how I treat it. In other words, it's not serious money. It's not a lot of money. It's just so I can keep tabs on it. Because when you've got a little bit of a stake in it, you think, oh, I wonder what's happening with Dogecoin or Decentral. I think the other one's called Decentraland, and then there was Solaro. You see, how good is that? But that was, as I said, it was totally for fun to look at those cryptos, because I want to be involved in that space. I want to know what the hell's going on. I want to be a bit like with when the internet came out. Some of us went and got laptops with modems built in, not because we knew what the future would hold, but we thought, well, I want to be involved in this. I wonder what's going to happen with this. I want to be prepared and see what opportunities come along. So, if any, so we'll see. That's been sort of front and center, and bit surprising me that's happened as well.
Crystal ball stuff. Interesting. Looking forward to hearing how that crypto goes for you.
Yeah, I'm going to update people on my Telegram and social media. You can't get away from me. On my Telegram and social media, and you and Shireen and everyone else are great at posting it, getting it out there, getting the content out there. But I think, we've got a big following of people who want to know just because they take their education in snippets. So I'm looking forward to keeping people updated on that one.
Awesome. And how are you feeling about 2022 so far?
Going so quick as ever. My wife wants to relocate to Dubai for the weather. Every time it's cold and snow and all the rest of it. So I said to her last night, I said, yeah, okay. I don't know how she's going to feel after this meeting at Downing Street, because it might be she says, no, we can't go. We've got to be here. So we'll see. But how am I feeling so far? Financially, in terms of the markets, I'm delighted they're holding up. The things which concern me, thankfully, are not things which directly impact me, but they concern me just as they concern everyone else, which is what the hell the war crimes in Ukraine, and what we're doing through other organizations I'm part of is just trying to raise more funds and those kind of things. So that's through City Hindus Network, making sure that we sort of promote some of that. And, what we're going to do, we're not going to be able to pick up arms and go there. So it's going to have to be capital raising, money raising. And the other thing which concerns me is it's not inflation. Most people say, oh, the guy I went to university with, who's head of economics at UBS, he put it brilliantly. He said, most people, they go past the vending machine at work and they say, oh my God, bounties have gone up, or Kit Kats have gone up, 50% or whatever. And they just walk past it 3 times and go, bloody hell, inflation's going through the roof. They haven't bought one. So how the hell has it affected them? Nothing. It's just a psychological impact. And that's the case for many people. They can substitute away. They're not actually purchasing the things that have gone up in price, or they don't need to. It's the people at the bottom of the pyramid. I grew up in Armley in Leeds. It's the people who, actually, they've got kids. They do need cheese. They do need bread. They need milk. Actually, nowadays, I think the milk substitutes are almost priced around the price of milk, but because especially after milk goes up in price. But the point is, they've got fixed costs, fixed minimum costs. The vast majority of people who are middle class, and that is a majority in Britain, forget the wealthy, the middle class, they've got variable costs. They don't need, they might want to, but they don't need to shop at Waitrose. Okay, they can pull that. And you might say, well, why should I? It's my God-given right to shop at Waitrose and pay double the price of tomatoes that are in Lidl or wherever else. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the ones at the bottom of the pyramid who have to make, famously, the decision between, it was put in, somebody else had used these words, between heating and eating. That concerns me. This is the Ukrainian thing does. Thankfully, it doesn't impact me personally. I say thankfully, but, and I don't know what happens in that space, as in, I don't know what we do. I'm not involved in that space directly at all. I don't know what the answer is to those things, I'm afraid. Other than, I could easily say to people, oh yeah, make sure you write a check to UN World Food Programme. But that worries me, what's going to happen at that end, because I've got a young son and I look at him and I think, my God, what if he was in that position, whether it's in Ukraine or not having enough food? And I don't know what the answer is. Like I said, if I did, I'd be at a higher pay grade than I am.
Yeah, I know you do a lot for charity, but besides warmer weather, what would be your one wish for the rest of 2022?
I just, the funny thing, when you're a parent, you just want your son to be happy. I want my child to be happy. That's my wish. World peace. I don't want to sound like Miss Universe. I'd want to see Putin at The Hague tried for war crimes, and he might say, oh, what about Tony Blair? What about Tony Blair? And all of this. I want to see Putin tried for war crimes. I don't think it's going to happen. But it's the same thing we all want, peace, and smoother markets going up, easier markets. They're not easy at the moment. To bring it all back to the markets, they're not easy at the moment. They're more a stock pickers market. What does a stock pickers market mean? It means everything isn't going up. It's not a rising tide. You've got to be picky. There's more due diligence. There's more research. And I guess we should close with that, in that, I've got that campaign for $1million.com, which is to get more people to learn about investing for their SIPs and ISAs, because it's going to impact their mental health. And what's happening at the moment in the markets, they're having to be more picky with the stocks they have. 2 years ago, you didn't need to be. A year ago, you didn't need to be. 3 years ago, 5 years, 6 years, you didn't need to buy anything. Throw a dartboard, it was going to go up. Everyone's a genius. Now it's got a bit more complicated. We want more resilient companies on your side with better track records, good cash flow generation. Cash flow is always overlooked. So those are the things we're going to focus on, and that's the kind of information we're going to be giving people, in bite-sized snippets on, whether it's Telegram or whatever else I post on TikTok, as you know, I'm obsessed with. I post on. So yeah, I'd say to people in closing, keep an eye on all that stuff.
You've got a huge following on TikTok. Yes. So any advice to yourself 1 year ago?
Oh, work out harder. I'm telling you, when I get obsessed about something, I get obsessed about it. So I think I would have said a year ago, flipping out, can you pull heavier weights, please? And I'm sure I'll be saying the same a year from now. But yeah, eat less. Anyway.
And anything excite you lately?
You're going to go through all the questions, aren't you? You sent me the questions ahead, which they never do. And yeah, we're going to look, for the sake of the viewers, we better call it the thing. And I think it's a good place to close it, is the thing that excited me the most was the thing we started with. So it brings it back full circle. I'm so energized post my wife's meeting she used to work there all the time because she was at the cabinet office, and before that Deutsche Bank and Accenture. So to her it's like, yeah, I've got dining through, I've got foreign office, I've got cabinet office, and I've been there many times, but that's not the point. It was the point I could take my son to see his mum walk through there and do the stuff she does. So she's energized, which means I'm energized, which means I'm excited. And when those things happen, you sort of, it impacts other parts of your life, just like fitness does. Just you get energized to do other stuff. So I'm excited and re-energized in terms of just getting more people knowing about what we're doing on the investment stuff, what we're doing on the trading stuff, but especially the investment stuff, because as you know, because you speak to the clients and you record their testimonials, it's really exciting stuff, and people love it, and I just want more people to know about it. So I'm going to get more evangelical about it, and I guess that's what is making me excited. Don't ask me any more questions. I feel for the viewers. I feel really sorry for them. They're probably thinking, all right, Alpesh, and we've got to save something for next week. We're going to try and do this as a weekly program, convert it to podcast and everything else, because it allows me to answer a lot of the viewer questions in one go. So we better keep some powder dry.
Sounds good. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Now I'm gonna leave it there and thank all the viewers as well. Thank you.